out here, but please feel comfortable. We're not going to ask you any hard questions. Okay, so I think we'll start with ladies first. So Maria, please, we want to know your full name, your hometown, and then something very interesting about your hometown that most people might not know.
Okay, so I have two full names. Right. And I exist fully in the two identities. So my professional name, which happens to be my married name, is Maria Gwira. So when you see me somewhere, oh, Mrs. Gwira, Mrs. Gwira. I've lived with that for over 30 years. And I write. So my writing is my being married. So I have kept that identity as well, and it has followed me through every writing that I do. So if you're looking for something that I've written and you look under Maria Kwami or N Maria Kwami, then you will find work that I've done pertaining to writing. Now, before I tell you my hometown is, I don't think that there's going to be anything surprising or new that I can tell you about my hometown because we all live. I'm a daughter of Asogli State. My family comes from Buhliha, just right around the corner. So I am a whole town girl. And so the interesting thing about this place is that growing up, I didn't really come to home much. My mother is from the south. My mother is a Dangbe, and my father, like most of you men, when you fall in love, you do everything, you move heaven and earth, you learn the girl's language while you're wrapping her. So my father did that, and so he was happy. I mean, they were married and we were happy, and we spoke what we spoke at home, augmented by English when necessary. For some reason, Ewe was not in the mix. And so I grew up not speaking a lick of Ewe, but, loving the place all the same with all the stories that my father told about visiting his grandfather and Amajopi and everything. Fast forward 17 years or so, all of a sudden my parents woke up and felt that, we have a bright idea. Why don't we send her to go and do A-levels? I'm sure by the time she comes back, she'll be speaking Ewe fluently. So I did that. I did 1 to 5 in Achimota School, and then they shipped me off to Ho for 2 years to correct what hadn't been done in 17 years, in 2 years. Who knows that? So here we are, but after going around the world for a while, I came to Maoli School. Which other would I come to? Maoli School, right? Are we here? Oh, louder. For those in front. Yes. So I came to the Great Maoli School, a second grade school on top of my other grade school that I attended. I attended Achimota School 1 to 5. Any Accras in the house? No? There was one, but he left early. Here we go. See? Okay, louder for those in the back. So, yes, so I returned to Ho. After all the schooling, I ran around a little bit around the world. When I returned home, I chose to come and live in Ho to connect with my roots and to leave the stresses of Accra behind. And I think it was one of the best decisions I made. So I'm happy to be here with all of you.
Please give a round of applause for Maria. You've answered a number of questions I was going to ask, so that's great. So Andrews, so again, your name, your hometown, something interesting about your hometown most people might not know. And then maybe you could also tell us about how you like some important things from your childhood when you're growing up.
So thank you very much. My name is Dodzi Adugu. Before I go on to say any other thing, you know the one interviewing us is a Preseccan or went to Presec, you know that. And he's surrounded by two Achimotans, you know that. And you know that on the 30th of this month, there's going to be a competition, you know that. All right. Those who don't know, please Google Achimota Presec and OWAS. What is going to happen? Thank you, but that's just by the way. So, I was born in Sunyani in the Brongahafo region. I think the first local language I was introduced to was Twi. So I speak very good Twi. And for some reason, I'll tell you about my hometown, but let me start from where I was born. So I came to Ho in the year 2000. And since then, I have been in Ho, I've been going and coming. So I'm doing 23 years in Ho. Yeah. But I don't come from Ho. And I'll tell you my connection to Ho is about love. I'll tell you about that. Oh, I see. All right, so I come from Anyako. You know, we are surrounded by water, very popular. But we have a settlement called Nechima. That's about 15 minutes drive from Abo. So those of you who know about Ghana's most beautiful, the one who won, she's going to be adored in Abo. Just about 15 minutes drive to my hometown. We have a lot of coconut trees over there. My mom comes from Anglo Afiada Nigba. So I'm a typical Anglo. Then you're going to the meeting and then you're coming to the Afia Valley distorted. So and by now you understand, as an MC, I'm supposed to make you comfortable and have some humor. So I grew up loving to watch Fun World. You know, those days we didn't have video deck, you know, the piano encore and the one I put cassette inside. Yeah, we didn't have that. I used to love a lot of dancing, and I developed a love for rap music. So when I came to Hove in the year 2000s, I was a serious rapper. Oh yes. So I think somewhere NAFAC 2000, I performed on one of the entertainment programs. That's Agro. They came to do Agro, and it was in a graphic showbiz. I still have a cutout of that. So I've been on TV. You know, those times when you appear on TV, you're a superstar. I'm telling you about this because I was combining my academics and I was combining my love for all of these things. I was into cultural music, cultural dance. So I know how to dance gaung, I know how to dance kete, I know how to dance bobobo, and I do a little bit of palongo. So don't talk about your current moves that you do now. I don't want to do the King Promise moves for you. That's just by the way. But growing up, I went to Kabori school. Well, definitely no other place, Kabori. Then from there, I went to Achimota School. Then to KUST, back to Accra, Ghana School of Law, and I decided to come and work here. So my connection to who you want to find out? Oh yeah. So, my wife. Everybody say, oh. So, since my fellow panelists, she says they come from Hogliam. My wife comes from Hebe. So part of her from Hebe and the other part from Amfuega. So I'm an Anglo man who is married to a Bodoma. I speak very good Bodoma and speak very good Anglo. But I have love for the speaking of the upper language. And it is one of the things I am instilling in my children, to be able to speak the native language. Initially, and for every other person, and it will interest you to know, I've always loved native languages. There are 3 reasons why I went to Achimota school. 1 is to learn Ga. I didn't learn Ga. I rather succeeded in learning Pidgin. 2 was to listen to a program called Top City Jam. Then it was being done by Bolare when it was at Top Radio. Immediately I got to Accra, Bolare left Top Radio, and I got to know that you can't use radio in school. Oh, so I missed. The 3rd reason is that I wanted to read arts. Those are the 3 reasons why I went to Achimota. Ask me whether I achieved my aim.
Please, round of applause for him, round of applause. Great. So, Maria, I think, so I have a 2-part question for you. First, how did you get into writing? And then how did you get into what you do professionally? And then we'll take it from there. So try and give us some more brief answers so we can get some more questions.
Right. So I will talk quickly about the professional one and then touch on the writing as well. The paths are not very divergent because they've sort of both have been with me almost all my life. My mother is a journalist, and growing up, I was one of those kids who, when they say, oh, who is your hero? My mother. Who do you want to be when you grow up? My mother. Come to think of it, you really look alike. Yes. So it was not very difficult for me. You know, I think that sometimes when parents are raising their kids, inadvertently, they're mimicking you, whether you know it or not, you know. And so it is good when we set good examples for our children. I don't have a problem at all almost duplicating my mother's career path. So I went to Ghana Institute of Journalism, a school that my mother attended. She was among the pioneer students, one of the first 3 girls who were enrolled in that school in 1954 or so. Years later, I attended the same school and was taught by people who had looked up to my mother while she was, executing her career as a journalist years ago. So I had no problem at all. I mean, I never wanted to do anything else. And I went there because I picked GIJ because in my heart, I really wanted to be an author. That I wanted to be from when I was a very little child, and I would read my parents' books, and we used to at the time have African Writers Series. So all the African books written by African authors used to be printed under Penguin Books, a sub-category called African Writers Series. And they used to put the authors' names at the back of the book in alphabetical order. And I would always pencil in where my name would fall alphabetically. So, well, inevitably, I chose the writing path, but I thought this was something I had to do formally. And there were no writing schools in Ghana per se that I want to be an author, let me go and learn how to write a book. There was nothing like that. So I did the next best thing, which is let me go and be a journalist. And so I did that, which is a good thing because writing is you don't start making money from writing just like that. Thank you. So that was that. But after going to journalism school, when I moved to the US years ago, before most of you were born, I went and I thought, let me go on a little bit of a detour in my career path. So I went back to school and studied international affairs, or diplomacy, and my focus was on development studies. But after that, it actually added to my portfolio. So I was able to get work where I was able to combine both development work and journalism. And so for about 10 years or so, I worked in the development sector. And before returning to Ghana, I had worked for 6 years at the International Finance Corporation, which is part of the World Bank Group, but doing communications work in a development environment. So I was able to marry my various career paths before I started writing books. Thank you.
Thank you. So Andrew, similar question for you. How did you get